Hello, hello. Welcome to Color Bottle Podcast. That is Maura, aka the Yum Yum Foodie, and the lovely Megan Elizabeth is here. Hello, Megan.
Hi.
Hi. How are you? Oh, wait, hold on. She's busy.
I was busy drinking.
Downing some Irish whiskey. It is called Kill the Bottle Podcast. Megan is drinking Irish whiskey, and I am drinking some rum because later tonight I'm going to go to a little rum thing. So I'd like to keep it consistent. I know you don't. Absolutely. That's why you have a lot of. Well, I was going to say a lot of memories. That's why you have a lot less memories than most people have. I'm drinking some pirate rum. That's a P-Y-R-A-T, pirate rum, and it's a really nice. It's an expression you don't see too often. I got my hands on some recently. It has like some nice citrus kind of notes to it. So it is a little bit of a flavored rum, but I wouldn't say it's like an orange rum per se, but it does have like hints of citrus. So it actually makes a bomb-ass Negroni. If you can make like a nice rum Negroni, I would rock it out with this. But anyway, so that is...
Rum and pork.
Rum and pork. That's just basically described like every Cuban household. Rum and pork. That's the extent of it.
I woke up to something funny and I wanted you to hear it before we get...
I don't want to hear you farting and recording it. Megan.
Oh my God.
I don't need that in my life.
I don't know who this is or what happened.
4, 3, 2.
This is a voicemail.
That's you.
No.
That sounds like you.
It's not me. This is two men.
Oh yeah, okay. That's two dudes. What the actual fuck? Can you give me some context?
I don't know. I woke up to this.
What do you mean you woke up to this?
I don't know who this is.
Are they some of your OnlyFans subscribers that somehow got your phone number?
Someone got my number. I don't know.
Get the actual...
I woke up to that voicemail and I have no idea who that is.
Okay, fine. It was me. I'm sorry. I'm a ventriloquist. I did both voices. I dubbed myself over, and I sang Afternoon Delight. I don't know. I was intrigued. And I was like, I'm gonna fucking do it. Absolutely. I'm a complete fucking pro.
Who does that happen to?
So you're the only, like, Megan, I swear there's a list like of boxes that you could check that only fucking happen to you.
Afternoon Delight.
Random fuckhead calls you with a voicemail of Afternoon Delight. That's a Megan only kind of thing. It's amazing. So Megan, I got to tell you about a restaurant that I'm obsessed with, and it kind of aligns a little bit with our guest who we're going to introduce soon. So there's a restaurant that's opened up here in Toluca Lake, aka like right by North Hollywood, right by Universal Studios here in LA, and it is owned by a legendary sound mixer by the name of Manny Marroquin. He has been nominated for about 30-something Grammys. He's won, I believe, like 8 Grammys. He's a baller, and he loves food. And so he actually bought the space right next to his recording studio and turned it into a recording studio restaurant called Verse. Yeah. And it is fucking out of control. It is essentially, like I said, a music studio restaurant. Imagine like you and I are at the bar, Megs, right? And they have music every night. I know. Yes. Hold on, you won't be paying.
Oh, yay!
There you go. That's the Megan I love. And the way they have this place designed with sound dampening walls, they have mics throughout the space. The way the audio is designed, so if let's say we're sitting at the bar having a drink, there is a full band playing.
And you can still hear yourself talk.
You can still hear yourself.
I read reviews. And
talk.
That's what people
said. Is
kind
of amazing, but that's kind of what you expect with that level of. I don't know, I guess somebody who's a sound engineer, the sound better be pretty fucking good inside your restaurant. But the food matches.
Good too, though?
The food matches.
What's it called?
It's called Verse.
Go.
And
I'm going.
I'll take you.
Thank you.
Maybe. If you play your cards right. But, music kind of aligns with the guest that we have on today. Before I introduce him, it's a really interesting way of how you meet people in this world. I usually get on a flight, and I don't ever really talk to the people. I mean, I say hello, but I don't necessarily engage in a conversation with the person next to me. And so, I'm on a flight from LA to Miami, and this gentleman sits next. He's there. I don't remember who sat first, but he's there. And I sat first. Okay, he's pointing at me. I sat first, and we start talking. And before we know it, the 4.5-hour, 5-hour flight to Miami goes by, and he and I have not stopped yapping. We were like two yentas just talking about music, life. It was phenomenal. And anyway, here we are. Fast forward a few months later, and I want to welcome to Kill the Bottle podcast. Oh shit! Let's go down the list. Recording artist. Tell me if I missed something too. So, recording artist, DJ, producer. All around muscle car enthusiast.
Ooh.
Lisa, that's a new one. I just found out that actually. So let's welcome to Kill the Bottle podcast, Freddy Browne, with an E at the end. And we'll get into why the E is there shortly. But welcome, Freddy.
What up, what up?
What it is, what it was, what it will be. So what did you think when you saw this little brown guy sitting next to you? That's me, guys. This little brown, because Freddy's, how tall are you, man?
It's about 6'2.5".
Yeah. I'm like, I look like a Make-A-Wish kid standing next to Freddy. So, what? But I think you and I had that moment where we're like, fuck, I can't believe we just talked about it.
No, it was cool. The whole thing was just, because I usually put my head down over my face and go to sleep, or work on beats.
Yeah.
Something like that. But we just chopped it up. It was cool the whole way. Like, I don't even talk about everything. I don't remember. Like, what did we talk about?
Dude, we talked about music, travel, life. He was on his way to Jamaica. Why were you on your way to Jamaica?
For my second single and video, the first one I directed, called Everybody Feel Nice, featuring Devin the Doctor, who's a big youth, young guy. Yeah, he's like the youth of Jamaica. Like, he's the chosen son, I guess you'd say. So he blessed that track, and we were going down to do TV and radio and newspaper interviews and blogs and stuff.
And then you sat next to a little Make-A-Wish kid, and you talked about music for.
But you were so like very passionate about what you're doing too.
Yeah, man.
So that was clear, and so I'm very passionate what I'm doing. So that when two passionate people chop it up about what they're doing, then it's just like, okay, well, let's do something cool. So here we are.
Here we are chopping it up now. And I mean, so for the folks at home, what did you want to be when you were a kid? Because you're from Philly.
No, I'm from New York.
You're from New York. Oh, but a summer in Philly is what changed your life. Sorry.
I did.
All right.
That was after my folks split. My dad moved to Philly, so I spent a couple
thank God. So I like you more then, because I was like, fuck Philly.
It's a nice city. It was cool. It was good. It was good for me. I learned, there was a lot. It was really a big part of my music path. This record store that I found that I used to go to and flip through the bins, and they had the park where Rocky, does his thing,
Mm-hmm.
it's right across the street from where my dad lived at Fairmount Park, and they had an open air kind of, I don't know what they called it, one of like a Hollywood Bowl thing.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
called the Robin Hood Dell, and you could walk in there like in the summer, and it would be like free jazz concerts, like big artists like that later on became really important. I would see when I was like 15, 16, just walking in. It was super cool. It was really cool.
Well, it's ironic too. The restaurant I was mentioning, Verse, it is that kind of place where you just don't know who's going to show up.
I want to know who he is. I'm not familiar with him.
With Manny?
He's an engineer.
Yeah, I met him briefly, and his son manages the restaurant now, which is really cool that he's kept a family business. And this kid,
Right.
I say kid because he's probably in his early 20s, such a sweet guy. And he's 20 going on 45.
Anybody that like nominated and wins, like, I want to know who that guy is.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, he just won with John Batiste last year for album of the year. Yeah,
well, that'll do it.
That'll
Alicia
do it.
Keys. I think he's done some stuff with Bruno Mars. I know Bruno Mars jumped on stage at Verse, in the past couple of months.
Shut up.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
going
yeah.
every night.
It's kind of awesome. This sax player Terrence. Now I'm having the fucking COVID brain. I can't remember his last name. They just had. He's doing I'm gonna see him actually tomorrow night there. They brought in Dr. Dre.
You can't go every night, Eddie.
Hey,
Eddie,
I got an
chill
invite
out.
by Patron.
You can't.
When Patron invites you, you go. Why? Because I never have to touch my credit card. That's why. So I'm going.
Thanks, Patron.
Yeah, thanks, Patron.
My name is Megan.
Yeah, Megan. Megan. So kid in New York. Did you?
Big ups to my friend John Paul DeJoya and Alexis, Patron owners. Right?
Oh hell yeah, that's right.
Been friends
Yeah.
for many years.
Oh, wow.
By the way, that's why I know about Pirate. That was one of his.
Yeah, and
liquors,
now
right?
since I work with Havana Club and Bacardi, they are, if I'm not mistaken, the majority stake owners now of Patron And
80% of these sold, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah, so thank you, Bacardi/Patron, for inviting me to dinner tomorrow.
My name's Megan.
Her name is Megan.
It looks like Bacardi's doing the brand right, though. Like, I'm seeing...
Well, they're one of the only family-owned businesses in that
commercials,
level.
like the way they're marketed, like they maintain the really good... It looks,
Yeah.
they didn't lose any ground. Like,
No.
it's good.
No, in fact, I think it's just going to enhance, in my opinion, it's just going to enhance the outward perception of the brand.
Yep,
You know,
I like it.
when you get like a good, I don't like to say a good family-run business, but it is a good family-run business behind it. They understand, they treat it with a different set of hands because they're a family. You know, and I mean,
How do you marry into the Bacardi family?
I don't know, Megan. At this point, you're like, girl, boy, we don't care.
I don't care.
Let's just, let's find. So,
Were you a good kid or a bad kid?
The best.
Oh, the best kid. No trouble at all?
Lots of trouble.
Lots of trouble.
Sure.
What kind of trouble did you get into? Especially in cities like that.
Ran away a lot, but would do it, but like, would hide like on the second level of the roof of the same house,
I'm
like and everybody
leaving.
else, or in a tree for like a day. Or
you were
something.
basically Macaulay Culkin.
Kind of yeah,
what you were.
really sinister, like the way I went about it. Sneaking in the house with peanut butter and jelly in the middle of the night when everyone's sleeping to go back to my perch or whatever it is, And for real, you do what you got to do, right?
Well, then when did the music bug hit you?
Yeah.
From the beginning.
From the beginning.
3, 4, 5. I just said that in Jamaica. My grandmother would play like show tunes.
Do you think people who are involved in music are troublemakers as kids?
No, but I think it's a great release and a great, for me, I was just talking to my dad. My dad's going to be 90 in January.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's a big jazz guy.
Yeah.
And I was just saying that I think for me, music was what probably saved me.
I was saying, it's kind of like if you don't have that, then you can cause a lot of trouble. I feel like I did that as a kid.
Yeah, I can't imagine somebody not... I hate it when... I do not... I mean, I don't use the word hate, but I just don't understand when people say they're not music people. I don't get it.
What if they're deaf?
Well, that's...
Oh, Jesus.
What? I'm just saying.
Well, there's still vibrations.
No, I know. Beethoven wrote his Ninth Symphony while deaf.
Yeah, I mean there are vibrations
Yeah.
for sure, but I don't understand that. I'm not a music person. Like
Me neither.
What?
What don't?
What does that mean? Like,
Yeah.
what do you don't feel? Like, I don't get it. I don't know.
The movie that I think it won Best Film last year, the one about Coda, is it Coda?
Coda, yeah.
It's
sign
about
language.
that. It's
Yeah.
about their one daughter that can
I
hear.
didn't see that. I
It's
should.
you probably love it. Their one daughter that can hear, the rest of the family, her brother and parents are deaf, and she joins choir. And just the look on the family's face when she tells them, they're like all of them are deaf. So they're like, but there's a sweet moment where at the end, towards the end, the dad puts his hand on her chest and makes her on her throat and makes her sing so he can feel it.
Oh, wow.
And it's so emotional. So yeah, there is no excuse. Everyone should be able
Zero
to
excuse.
No, I mean it's either like I spent a lot of time in Japan, and they taught me something early on in my travels over there. They were like, they feel the melody because it hits the heart. You know what I mean? And then the other part is obviously the rhythm, and those are the two components, right? Melody and rhythm. And I don't understand how either cannot be felt. I mean, it's just I don't get it. I don't know. One drives the other, and
We're ostracizing a very small group of people.
Yeah, we're like, really?
I
You
think-
non-music
Turn off
people?
the podcast.
You're like, get out of here. Get out of here, non-music people.
yeah,
I
this
can't
is
do
it.
this is not for non-music lovers.
Right. Well, both of our parents are music people.
Yeah.
I grew up, I went to Pink Floyd when I was like 6 years old when they were still together. And I grew up with family that loved music, and my dad's a guitar player. He would have rather been a musician than a dentist. He'll tell you that any day.
Yeah.
And now he retired early so he can do music. What kind of influences as a kid were your music influences? What were things you listened to?
For sure, man. The thing that got me really going would have to be the Beatles. For sure. No question.
I just listened
For
to
sure.
a Beatles song last night that made me cry, and it's such a popular one. And I can't remember the name, but I was at a karaoke bar and I heard Jai Guru Deva, that one.
There's so many.
I know, but that one,
I mean,
I killed it.
and they've influenced so many people.
Yeah.
And it's just, that was the first thing. And then it just, went bananas
But
from there.
as somebody who is musician and producer, how do you feel as far as let's talk about the Beatles? George Martin versus so he was the producer for the Beatles, and versus the Fab Four. You know, how much of an impact do you think he had in us getting the Beatles?
A lot,
you know, if they would have just been left alone, would they have just fucked off? Or you know,
for sure.
The machine doesn't exist without George Martin.
For sure, dude.
Yeah.
Like he was like he sculpted the sound, and you know, and that was in the day when engineers would wear like white coats, like they were working
you
in
see
like
pictures of him. He looks like a
working
an
at
agent.
Pfizer or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
for real, like in a sanitary room, like you know, like
Yeah.
working like crazy knobs. Like I love fucking with knobs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I love, that's what I do in the studio. I get like analog keyboards that I've never used before, and this is the way I do it now. I got one take everything, and no idea what I'm gonna do before I do it. Like the track I've already written, the basic track, but then the little stuff that I add, like that piano thing.
I was gonna ask you.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's just one take.
Okay. And so that when I'm trying to record music or doing stuff like that's the frustrating part with me, and it sounds like that's what you thrive on is experimenting and doing stuff with knobs.
No, I mean
adding stuff and adding.
Well, it's always adding, but I mean I write the beds digitally in my software.
Yeah.
I've been in the same software since 2.5. It's like a 12 now. It's called Reason. So I've mastered that thing.
Once you master it, it's probably less frustrating.
Yeah,
well,
right.
No, it's always been fun for me because I don't read manuals. No, I just don't. I'm going to figure out what it is I'm going to do with it, and then I'm going to rock the shit.
I want to leave you in a room with a piece of IKEA furniture without the manual.
I've been there.
That's what I want to see.
Well, let me tell you honestly what
That's
happens.
a new game show. We just put people and make them build IKEA furniture
You
without the manuals.
Want to know what happens when that happens to me?
Yes.
What?
Pieces are left over. Like, what?
Chair breaks.
Yeah.
We don't need
Hence
that.
why you're not a
Don't
car
need
mechanic.
that. I don't need that. Forget it. You know, use it as a hairpin or something.
But that makes your creative side come out when you don't read the manual, because that's how you discover things differently than everyone else.
Well, that's the only way I want to do it.
Yeah.
I don't want to do anything the way that
Everyone else is
traditional.
doing it.
Well, I'm not doing it intentionally like that. You asked me if I was a good kid or a bad kid earlier.
Mhm.
And I think I'm just a very adventurous, you know, with no limits. I don't have any, you know, I'm a Sony distributed music artist, but they don't get, like, I do what I got to do, and then I let them know when we're putting it out.
Do you hear, what do you hear first when you're writing something? Do you hear it in your head and then put it down?
Sometimes, not really. Usually I know when I'm ready to write. And so it opens up the software, and then I start with one thing, just something that moves me, and then I start messing with it, like turning the virtual knobs, you know, and adding effects, and then I'll add the next element. I don't know what that could be. It could be anything. It could be another melodic thing. It could be a kick drum. It could be a hi-hat. It could be a guitar thing. It could be a sample. I don't know.
I envy that. Because if I remember correctly,
it's amazing.
What a lot of patience, and if I remember correctly, you haven't studied how to read music.
No,
you just picked it up. Yeah,
every instrument I play, and I play.
And how many instruments?
Everything.
Everything.
Yeah, I envy that because I think sometimes, you know, for me, being somebody who studied piano since I was little, music theory, that level of construct has gotten in my way. In my playing of certain things, where I get so sucked into the geometry of something that sometimes the freedom isn't there. So I envy, you know, people like Dave Grohl, people like you who aren't somebody who went to music class for that, you know, and they get it, and there's a certain level of that lack of restraint that the construct of scholastic music gives you. It really flourishes with people like you, and I know I use Dave Grohl because I'm a huge Foo Fighters fan, and he's
great,
fascinating.
I love him too, and that's you're right about all of it, and that's why I said I think it saved me for sure, because first of all I don't think I can't do anything else. I don't know really how to do anything else, and I can introduce you to 20 people that will underline and support that. That's what I'm saying. And that's not a bad thing.
21?
Okay, jump on, get in. I'll show you where to sign up.
Well, you're so passionate about it that I can't fathom you doing anything else.
I really just really enjoy it, and then to be able to, you know, take it from from my little writing at home, or I could be on the plane normally with headphones and the laptop making a beat in the software, and then, go play it in front of 50,000 people. Like, that's super, like, what? Like,
what was your first musical paycheck? Like, what were you doing the first time you got paid?
ESPN.
Oh, yeah.
I licensed my very first song I ever wrote called The Choice, Go Hard or Go Home. It was for my band called The Formula Project. It was 2005.
Okay.
And
Good year.
and I'm a big drag racing fan. I think I mentioned that to you.
Yeah, you told me about that.
So I grew up with it as a kid, and I kind of reconnected with it when I took a place in Cali and started going out to Pomona to the track and became friends. That's how Alexis and I became friends. She drives a funny car in the NHRA driven.
Right.
She was the Patron car because her dad, I don't know if you're using, now she's got her dad's new tequila Bandero.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've had it or
I haven't
tried
had it yet, no.
So that's on the side of her car. So,
Got it.
And so that's, I've known her for
So
60
Paul
years.
Mitchell's daughter.
John Paul DeJoria.
John Paul DeJoria, not
Yeah,
Paul Mitchell. Sorry, John Paul
Alexis
DeJoria.
DeJoria,
Yes.
right. And so she's a funny car driver in the
Paul
NHRA.
Mitchell, I'm thinking of hair
And by
products.
the way, and she's a bad, same one. It's his company too.
Yeah.
Same dude.
Oh, yeah, he
Oh,
does own
okay.
it.
No,
Isn't he part of it?
Oh,
owns
okay,
it.
so got it.
Owns it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and Patron, as I was saying.
Yes.
Anyway, so that's drag racing thing, and so in 2005, I just sent the track in to the head of media at the NHRA, and a day later they forwarded it to ESPN, and ESPN called me, and we worked out payment. I was the first guy they ever paid to license original music, and it was on TV 6 days later for the U.S. Nationals,
Oh, wow.
and then NHRA licensed it 10 years in a row.
Wow.
As well as like a whole bunch of other tracks, and then it's the only music in the NHRA PlayStation game, which I'm actually a character in. You can drive me.
Really?
Yeah, I'm in the game for sure.
What?
Yeah, it's weird. It's crazy.
I'm a gamer.
I'm
excited.
saying I'm not.
Me
I
too.
am.
I'm a gamer.
I'm not.
If I can't do music, I'm video gaming.
I heard there was a new NHRA PlayStation game that just came out, and I'm kind of disappointed that I didn't know earlier because I would have made a move on it, like to get in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's just, I love that world. But so yeah, that was the first one, and then right after that, I did, like I said, the PlayStation game, and I got asked to do another PlayStation game, which was for World Championship Paintball, and I did original song for that, like almost like a score theme song kind of vibe. And other than that, I've just been working on music. I've had a bunch of record deals and kind of put out music, but I really wasn't ready to get behind it. I didn't think it was great yet. Everybody else did, but I didn't. I think I was wrong. I've since found
Fair.
out. I mean, my first release in 2006, my first EP, to this day, still is my best selling every single quarter. So 16 years. So I think I probably...
Yeah, you were, hey.
But I love, I mean, look, I dig everything I've done. I'm proud of it, but I love what I'm doing now.
Well, I mean, you have to be
Music
proud of
now
it because
is-
you wouldn't be where you are now if you hadn't done that before.
I guess so. It's, but it's that path can be, it can be a painful one sometimes, and a lot of times, like, I've had, lots of the singers, just not, that's why, like, to be honest, like, the All Falls Down track, the one with Shaggy, I wrote that music 10 years ago, and I finished the mix 8 years ago.
Timing is everything.
Never put it out until now, because it's my 17th year.
So that's right.
And I re-upped the track too. But,
So tell us about the number 17 and what that means for you, because you just mentioned it's the 17th year, and that's not an arbitrary.
That's actually the total number I've made on my BMI music.
$17?
Yep, in 10 years.
Bravo.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, I bet. I was
Do you
thinking
compose music too?
Oh, I was in a band.
Oh.
And we did.
Oh.
And I have like very
Keep
small
the secrets already.
we have very small little percentages that it's the only one. I have tons of other stuff I've done, but that's the one I'm actually getting paid.
17, you must have had 100 streams.
At least 100 streams in 10 years. I was just thinking.
How many of them were you
I was
once
thinking
a year?
Yeah, it was me buying myself out. I was thinking about, his check must have been big from ESPN, and I'm sitting there like,
Hey.
my BMI checks are like $3 every quarter.
That's funny. Yeah, no, I've avoided online presence and just, getting out there and getting behind it and doing interviews. And then I was just like, okay, this is the year, 17, this is the year. So the 17 was bestowed on me. It was my grandmother, the one that turned me on to music. She had the number too, and we shared it. So every time I would go to Vegas, I would call her and I'd put 25 on the 17 on the roulette. It's the number in the middle of the table. Everything revolves around. Do you know that? Everything revolves.
No, I didn't know it was the number in the middle of the
is.
table.
Everything revolves around the 17. And so, and then I started going deeper in it. Like, I spent a lot of time in Japan, and 8 is the number in Japan. So 1 plus 7, boom, boom, Well, yeah, you turn it sideways, it's infinity, that whole
I was born in 88.
Oh, see?
8's my number.
See?
Yours is 17.
You're a baby.
It is. Do you have one?
Do I have a number?
Yeah.
No.
A lucky number? That
No,
sounds right.
That's kind of weird.
Is it pork?
My lucky number is pork, actually. My lucky number is lechon.
What does it come after? What does it come after? Zork?
No, I have like favorite
and rum.
numbers, but I don't have a lucky number.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Well, 17's worked out for you, right? And this year, right, we're doing more 17s.
Oh my God, my album cover is going to be like shot from behind with me with a baseball jersey, a big 17 and Browne.
Hell yeah.
Baseball hat turned around. Are you crazy?
Do you have any tattoos?
None. There's a good story there too, but I was going to get a 17 right here in Japan, but I was getting the kind that they do like this, the real deal in Tokyo.
Just so everyone knows at home.
Yeah, like the Yakuza style.
Yeah, he's holding like what is a stencil they hit.
Yeah,
they
with
hit
the hammer and the chisel.
Hammer tattoos.
Yeah, I had the whole thing. There was a koi fish. It was a 17. It was all this stuff. It was the whole thing, man.
And what happened?
I played the Ultra Festival and I drank like 6 bottles of Vouv, and that was the end of that.
That was the end of that, yeah.
You can't get tattooed.
Your pancreas and liver, like,
you're gonna bleed. You're gonna bleed out on the
death.
tube.
You should have had 17 bottles of Vouv.
And that was it, man. No tattoo.
So Ultra in Miami, the Ultra Music Festival?
No, Tokyo, the first
Oh,
time.
okay. Sorry. I only know Ultra in Miami because people get hammered and super high and they start humping trees and shit. It's hysterical. Like, there's a whole series of videos that come out during Ultra in Miami of the people... The people that are like start making out with trees, they are so out of it.
I tend to play and leave it.
Smart man. Smart man. Elvis has left the building.
Yeah,
that's like the...
And done. See you later.
I don't really like to hang out. Everybody good.
So,
bye.
So,
really.
Bye.
Laters.
I read that you...
What did he say? Laters on the Menjay.
What is that?
That's from that movie, Love You Man.
Oh,
yeah. That's what
Laters on the Menjay.
I always say, I never remember this movie. Big Gulps, huh? Well, see you later. That's on a movie, too.
Oh, yeah, what movie? That was from...
Clerks or something? Or...
Oh, yeah, Clerks.
Oh, I love that movie.
Hey, Big Gulps, huh?
Clerks is such a great movie.
See you later. Or maybe it's something else, but I love that.
I like that, too.
Trying to think. So, okay, 2000... You said 2005 is your first, song paycheck. What were you doing... in the 90s?
Managing. Well. Okay, so
it's a podcast. Let's
Rome
hear it.
didn't start in a day. Rome was not built in a day. So
I hate talking about the shit because everyone gets mad. But no, I started out. I was in New York until '90. I was in Chicago for '90 to '92. I had a club there called. Fat Fridays. Was this club called Shelter downtown in the West Loop. Really super dope club. In fact, the other nights when it wasn't hip hop like I was doing at that time, there was house music, and the house DJ was Mark Farina. I don't know if you know who Mark Farina is.
I know the name.
Mushroom, like jazz. He's one of the best, like of his genre of house music, and he's from San Francisco. And I remember I tell the story all the time, like, he was there Friday and Saturday night in the booth, like, and just went on to be a world famous. So I always remember there was a very special time in Chicago that the China Club was up the block, and there were really cool shows that were always going on. Chicago is a good city for music. A lot of good venues, the Aragon Ballroom, the Uptown Theater,
Metro,
the Met Cabaret. I've played the Cabaret Metro, the Vic. What else is there? The Park West. There's a lot of good.
It's a really good music town.
Yeah, it really. And then you got Lincoln Street with all the blues bars, which are amazing. That whole, block there of blues.
So okay, so how? Sorry, I'm trying to create a timeline here in my head. You leave New York. Sorry, are you in Philly and then go to Chicago and then go to New York?
No, I was in New York. Philly was only for
just for the
summer.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm back in New York, and then a few years of college.
Okay. What did you study, or what did you want to study?
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't
Trust
do
me, that
anything
would,
of
you
any
just
value.
explained my 2 years at college.
I did 4 in 2 places, and I didn't learn anything.
Yep.
Me
No,
too.
You learned you
Not
didn't
a
want to be there,
goddamn
so
thing.
you learned it.
Well,
I have a master's degree. I didn't learn fucking shit.
I didn't really have a choice, you know. I could roll joints great.
What?
Hey, that-
Really?
Did you learn that
Really.
from college?
Definitely,
Oh,
it was
okay.
part of it for sure. Definitely part of it, but yeah. So school was then, but then the city, moving into New York City, like the 80s, like
Oof.
right in it, like
Yeah.
the best of the best, the clubs, being being on the dance floor with the Beastie Boys, like before even License to Ill came out. I know those guys, like for real. Russell Simmons and I knew each other for years. Would go out all the time to the clubs, like Nell's and Area downtown. Like it was the best ever.
So how does that transition into you wanting to own a club, or
That was I never wanted to own it. That was just it was like a promotional night I had at this club.
Got
It
it.
became kind of a thing, you know
Got
what I
it.
mean? And I did it for a couple of years. Chicago was great, but it was I'm a New Yorker, so it's kind of like it's not New York.
But did you see a DJ somewhere that like fucking really connected with you? And you're like, shit, I want to do this.
No.
No.
No, and that's the
That's my
craziest
favorite-
thing. That's the
favorite
craziest thing because all the time in New York in the 80s even, all my friends were DJs. I didn't DJ. The only thing I ever DJ were like we were having private after hour things like where everybody was nice and I just get up there and just start doing stuff like in the moment. Like and then, and then there were some great ones like we didn't record them or nothing, but I never was doing that. It wasn't until much, much later.
Was that on vinyl or CD, or what were your?
Well, that's all there was then.
So was it vinyl?
We're
or
talking
CD?
the 80s.
Oh, the 80s. Sorry, yeah, okay, all vinyl.
They're all-
Got it.
well, towards the latter part, we were getting into CDs, right? Cassettes, obviously.
Right.
And I love cassettes, by the way. I think they're cool.
Really?
I think they're cool.
Why?
I don't know. They
Kids
just
don't
look,
understand. Like
They
you
didn't
gotta-
look cool, and you could write on them, and write your shit on them, and
Oh yeah.
you could
You would
stack
stand
them.
next to the radio
taking
like when they were
notes
doing the
'cause
top 20 and you were like waiting to press record like when the DJ would shut up that one and if the DJ talked over the first like even the intro of they would hit the Power 96 we're done and then and the music was like shut the fuck up dude
Wow.
Slash is playing
Bad
he's playing
DJs.
Sweet Child of Mine
Bad
shut
DJs.
up
I have to be honest, like I love when the radio stations, when I'm in there and they're playing my stuff, they do the drops over the top.
but that's different. You're not trying to record it on a tape
No,
deck in
no,
the 80s.
no.
That's different.
That's true, I guess. I guess. I mean, it's whatever it is, man. Like, I don't know. It's just the 80s were crazy, amazing. Like, that was the beginning of drum machines. People just started to mess with drum machines. And so I was there at the beginning of hip hop. Like, I mean, not really. It started earlier. So probably 80, in the back, up in Harlem and that stuff. And I got there like 83.
Okay.
So 84, like right at Madonna's first album, like that was like, forget it. Like,
I can't imagine being in New York at that time. What was happening in the music world?
everything.
Yeah.
Everything. You could be like at a party and you'd be with the Talking Heads, Madonna, the Beastie Boys, Russell Simmons, Run DMC, Jean-Michel Basquiat, Keith
Yeah.
Haring would be there, like hanging, like for real, bro. Like it was crazy. Go down to like the Lower East Side to the World. That was another club that, man.
How are you still standing? Because I
don't know, man.
I'm hungover
Seems
from
dangerous.
a party last
Oh
night
yeah,
that
I
had
pushed
to go
the
to.
envelope and everything.
Yeah, I was gonna say, were there moments that you hit like a rock bottom where you're like, this is never gonna work for me?
Well, I didn't even think I'd ever make music.
Right.
For like, I was managing. That's the way I was coming in. Like, wasn't even like making music in the 80s or.
Okay.
I was always messing around and listening to stuff and playing instruments and being around studios. Like, but I wasn't really I wasn't composing. I wasn't doing DJ sets. I was managing artists or, I had a label.
And that was the goal at that time?
No, it wasn't. It was always a means to an end, I guess.
And
It
did
was
you
just-
know the end that you wanted?
I guess I did because that's where I'm at, right?
Right.
I mean,
Well, at
my
that
dad
time.
my dad says I always wanted it, but I don't remember it being like that.
What you in your story, a guy or a group by the name of the Jimmy Castor Bunch had a big influence on you.
Mm-hmm.
What for
Biggest.
for the guy? Yeah. What was that for you? How did that?
So that goes to Philly. That's the Philly situation. So I was walking in that record store and flipping through the bins, and I saw the craziest album. Like I was looking at the cover, and it's this dude, and like on a motorcycle with a leather jumpsuit and an afro, and this is way before Prince. Like we're talking '76. Something, right?
Wow.
And I'm looking at it, I'm looking at the back because you can read who's like on the album and the instruments they're playing, because I was into sounds already, but I was deep into it. And so I just had to have the record, and I bought it, and I flipped on it, man. Like I loved every minute of it. And it was called E-Man Groovin' was the name of the album. E-Man Groovin'. And the artwork's crazy, or the photo and the fonts and everything, just super cool. And so cut to like I bought all of his albums, he had like 5 on.
What style of music?
He's a funk, he came up as a doo-wop singer in the 50s in New York, like a real deal with Frankie Lyman, who was like the king of doo-wop in the 50s. Do you know much about doo-wop music?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so it came, it's when they all sat on the stoops in the cities and they harmonized. And it was like they'd sing to the ladies as they walked down the street. It was a real thing, and so
that's Jersey Boys.
It's a genre. Yeah, exactly. So he came up like that, and then became this amazing funk artist. And later on, I would, years later, I would find that the E stood for everything, man, because he was a singer. He played saxophone and timbales. He was crazy. You can find on YouTube and look up his performance on Soul Train or something, multiple performances on Soul Train. And so cut to '05, I started making music, and I found him on the internet. I sent an email, and he wrote me right back, and then a day later we were on the phone talking. And then 2 weeks, week and a half, I flew to Vegas and had dinner with him and his wife. I think it was an NHR race I was going to or something, and he invited me back to his house. It was in this gated community, and I got there, and then we walked through the garage, and there was that motorcycle that was on the cover.
On the cover of the album.
It really was the real.
What did you say in this email? I'm going to give you $1 million. Like, what was?
No, I just said.
Because he got right back to you.
Just a lifelong. This has happened with a lot of artists, and social media has been really great for that, because I've connected with some artists that have been, like everything to my path. And so, but in that case, I sent an email. I just said, hey, that music's meant everything to me, and I've been listening to everything. And I said, look, I'm making music now, and I want to sample this track. And it was one of his obscure tracks. It wasn't like Scorsese went on to use him in Wolf of Wall Street. Beastie Boys licensed him. That Hey Leroy? Mm-hmm. That's Jimmy Castor.
Oh,
that is Jimmy Castor singing
right on.
Hey Leroy, your mama's calling. Like, that's him. And so, and many other things. Like, remember that movie Flashdance?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Remember the scene where the kids breakdancing in the park on the cardboard? Yeah. That's Jimmy Castor. Like, he's sick.
That's dope.
No, it's amazing. So, anyway, we became really good friends. His wife told me that night he had cancer. He never told me. And about 8 years later, he passed from cancer. And we had 8 years of friendship, phone calls and getting together and talking about trying to do stuff. And so then when he died, when I created Freddy Browne in 2015, I took the E, the everything, man, the E-Man, I put it at the end of Browne.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, why Freddy Browne?
Gotcha.
What's the origin of that?
Now we're...
That's it. Well, Freddy Browne comes from my favorite NBA team of all time, the Seattle Supersonic Championship team with downtown Freddy Browne.
That's awesome.
And he spelled it FREDDIE BROWN. So I changed it to FREDDY, and then I took the E from Jimmy, put it on the end of Browne, and that's Freddy Browne.
So, I know you've told me privately, but what are some of the artists that you have worked with in the past? I mean, you were telling me a great Cypress Hill story as we were walking into the studio. That was hysterical.
I didn't do anything there. I was on the road with them. Like I said, I haven't really talked about that part of it, but
not like you haven't said.
No,
that.
so getting after the Chicago thing.
Yeah.
all those guys started coming to the club that I had in Chicago. So Cypress Hill. So I knew Muggs for years, long before Cypress Hill. I knew him in New York in '88, '89, right? He had a band even before Cypress Hill. I don't know if you know that, called 783.
No, I remember getting super excited because Be Real's Cuban, and Be Real used to date Carmen Electra, and I was like, oh my god, a Cuban guy is dating Carmen Electra.
I saw them out in the city.
I
saw them in the club one night in the city at Club Life. And you know who the DJ was that night in the club in the VIP room? Mark Ronson.
Oh, no shit.
I know Mark a long time. I know Mark a long time, too. Long time. Good dude. Really
nice guy. Yeah,
really
I met him one time. Super nice guy.
I knew Muggs for a long time. They came to Chicago a bunch of times, and I'd be with them and we hang out, and you know what I mean. And then I met the House of Pain guys from them because Muggs produced and wrote all that music. He wrote Jump Around.
Okay.
He wrote all the music on the first album and put them in play. And then I was on tour with the Soul Assassins tour. That's when I left Chicago. I literally got on the bus and never came back.
And what did you do in House of Pain?
I started as a tour manager.
Okay.
And then when Lethal left the group, I DJ'd sets. It's like shows.
Right place, right time, man. It works out.
I mean, I don't know. You know, the very first time I was with them, I remember, I forget where we were. Like, I was trying to think where the first one was. I think it was Europe. And just walked on stage. It was, 100,000 people, 80,000, something crazy. And I just felt really comfortable. Just felt right. I don't know. I can't explain it. I felt more comfortable than an intimate kind of thing. You know what I mean? I can't explain it. I don't know.
Well, I almost feel like from my perspective, when you have an audience that big, you're less vulnerable. I feel like if it's a more intimate space, people can see the twitch in your eye. They can capture moments where I would think it's harder in a more intimate setting than a larger setting. Once you get over the initial nerves of the amount of people, it feels like you could just you block them out. They're so far away from you.
It is, and like even like the club stuff, like with my DJ sets, like I don't want to talk to anybody when I play, and I don't talk to anybody. I'm not that DJ with the mic. I'm like. Because I don't know what I'm going to do ever when I never do the same thing twice. I don't know what I'm going to do from 1 second to the next. And so I'm having a good time seeing where it goes for 2 hours or whatever I play.
So you don't yell like, make some noise.
No,
never.
No, that's not.
I don't know. I think I prefer that. No, I prefer that kind of DJ.
Me too.
I got in an argument with a DJ recently, and it was not. And
was he a karaoke DJ?
It was just like I went to a dinner and there was a DJ there, and you could tell like he just got his little system for the first time.
That dinner.
Yeah. And he kept doing this, and when he didn't know what he was doing, and all he was doing was taking other people's music. And there's some part of me that like I think there's DJs that are really talented.
Absolutely.
DJs that do stuff on the fly like you do, or DJs that really are good with crowds and knowing what to play and knowing. And then I think like. There's DJs that fucking steal music and just get up there and get paid a shit ton of money to be stupid.
Oh, yeah, I mean...
And I'm angry about it.
But who's stupid? If I could be so bold, I would say that to most of them.
Okay, I'm not crazy.
Hold on. Who's
mother-
stupid? Those DJs are geniuses because the stupid people are the ones that are fucking paying for it.
I play many instruments too, and I'm like, get an instrument. Like, I get so mad.
I couldn't do a set that was position, man. I would feel like
not
horrible for myself.
Thank you.
Like I would feel terrible. I could not do that. Like I tell the story all the time. Like if the opportunity came to do some big product, like that's the other thing I've never done. Like with all the tracks I've done and that I've written, like I've never been out there as a producer for hire. I've never worked. The only artists that, as I mentioned earlier, some of the artists have been on my records. Like I haven't gone out as a producer for. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, how does the relationship with Shaggy come about, and what you're doing now, with him? Because when I met you, you were on your way to Jamaica to promote to.
That was the set. No, the first time was the Everybody Feel Nice,
right?
And then this last one that I just did, it came out October 28th.
Okay.
October 28th, so about 3 weeks ago. That one's called All Falls Down. And yeah, Shaggy does feature on one of the tracks. There's another guy on there by the name of Andre Fennell, who's a Jamaican cat from Kingston who I met in New York. And he was Shaggy's writer
Okay.
For many years, like for 7, 8 years. And so when I decided, and I'd worked with him before on another record. I have an album called Evolve that came out on my label through Warner Music in '09. Again, that band I mentioned, the Formula Project, was the platform for that release. KRS-One is on that album, which is really cool.
Yeah.
We had a great experience. I had a great experience with him here in LA. In the Marina, actually, we recorded it. And I love BBP. That's one of my favorites of all time. So, we just stayed in touch. And then one day I said, I'm ready to make another record, like 2012. And he was like, all right, come over to Shaggy's house. I was like, all right. So I went over.
Be right there.
Yeah.
So I went over to Shaggy's house, and I walked in, and a lot of people there, man. Like the Fugees were there.
Oh my
and
God.
there was a lot. He has a studio. Like you'd never know this was like the dope spot. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, and he's super cool. Like, so I was in a back room playing beats for Andre, the singer, and then Shaggy walked in and just started singing over my track, and that's how I met Shaggy. That's exactly how I met him.
That is, again, timing is everything. It's kismet. It was, but all of the hours that you put in, it I don't know. There's something magnetic, I guess, about you attract people in that sense.
Well, so my idols in Jamaican music are a band called artist called Sly and Robbie. I don't know if
No, I haven't heard of them.
Okay. You haven't at all?
I have not,
okay.
no.
So they're probably the most prolific Jamaican musicians ever. They've been on, 250,000 recordings.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Right? They've won Grammys with, you remember that album by No Doubt, Rocksteady?
Mm-hmm.
They produced the heck out of that record.
Wow.
Won Grammys with that one. They won Grammys with, they've done tracks, remixes with Britney Spears, the Stones, Bob Marley, every Grace Jones,
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, all the Grace Jones
Hell
stuff.
yeah.
Pull Up to the Bumper is them. Eddie Grant, Electric Avenue.
Yeah,
That's
such a
them
great song.
playing it. The drummer and bass player. So they have been my heroes forever. And reason being because when I was that's the one thing I did do at Syracuse. So I just told the story in Jamaica, and it ended up on the front page of the newspaper, the whole freaking newspaper. I couldn't believe it. And I talk about this going to see the Police for the Synchronicity tour in 1980.
Talk about a band with a reggae influence.
For sure. And so the opening act of that show, and it was at Syracuse. It was then called the Carrier Dome. It was one of the first domes, right? Mm-hmm. And so I went to the show, and the opening act was a group called Black Uru, and I'd never heard of them before, and fell in love with them, and went on to find out that's Sly and Robbie's band, right? And then I moved to New York, and I go on the clubs, and the super hottest track in the club is Pull Up to the Bumper. Well, that's Sly and Robbie again, right? And then it just goes on and on and on and on, and they just make all these records, and they're all over the world, and they're loved, and so so that day at Shaggy's place, they were there. My idols were there, and nobody introduced me.
No!
Did you introduce yourself?
No, I did not.
Oh, Jesus!
So ready? So check this out. So I walk out of there, and a year later, for that trip I was telling you about, on 2015, I went to Tokyo, the Ultra thing. And afterwards, 2 days later, I'm having dinner with some people, and somebody were talking about Sly and Robbie, and they go, oh, well, they're going to be here next week. Would you like to work with them? I was like, what?
I missed it once. I'm going to miss it again.
Oh, hell no. I was in Kingston 3 weeks later with them in the studio, and it was incredible. And then I forged a relationship with them over, several, 2015, so 7 years. Robbie passed last year. I have him on my new album. I'm probably the last of his recordings ever.
Wow.
I have him on 2 tracks, and when I was in Jamaica this last trip, I was in the studio with Sly, and I'm going back in the studio with Sly, so I'm going to have the 2 of them together on my new album, the last stuff of them ever. So that's what's happened. That's what happened on that one.
And that's fucking crazy.
I need a fan to make a tattoo for him now. With everything, every story, he needs little symbols and a whole story right on the side.
I told you I tried to do it.
I know. I'm saying a new one. Somebody out there listening, get this tattoo design
All right.
I want a cassette tape. I want the number 17. I want a Jamaican flag. I want...
With the amount of time in Jamaica, who has better weed?
You know, so a lot of people don't smoke.
Well, I'm not saying they do or don't, but like, who has better?
I can't really answer that because I usually burn my own.
Oh, all right. Well, shit.
So
He's like, the answer is me.
The thing is, I don't smoke weed, but I'm always curious. I'm like, who's got better weed?
I bring my own everywhere I go, and bring multiples so I don't run out, and you know.
Yeah, you don't run the risk of something being laced with other shit that messes.
Yeah,
with you.
I'm good. I want to stay on the same path, and I don't mess with anything else, and so that's it really for me. You know what I mean?
I've messed with so much.
But
yeah, I don't know how Megan.
No, I've been there too.
Okay,
I'm just
good.
saying.
I was like,
I'm just saying, like now, like I just herb for me is, and I don't really even smoke that much flower anymore. Really, I like to just to vape.
What are your thoughts on mushrooms?
I'm not really a mushroom guy. I've done
I like
them
them
a few
on pizza.
times. I never really. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's like
I never really.
Sake.
Yeah, I'm not really into it.
I just recently tried, and I'm really into it. I really like.
Yeah,
it.
I don't want to hallucinate.
Yeah, did you almost kill your dog with mushrooms?
I'm not doing ayahuasca.
True story.
None of that.
You're not gonna do that.
No, hell. Why would I do that? Why break it if it ain't? Why do you want to?
You imagine all of a sudden you don't understand music anymore. You finish. You go on an ayahuasca trip and you come back and you don't.
You're like everything's
and I lose it all. My mojo, everything's
He's
gone.
like, I haven't had anything I need to erase. I need to keep it all.
For sure.
I could erase so much.
Yeah,
perspective.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel about it. I don't want to even come close. I don't even want to go in the vicinity of the ayahuasca center.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to be anywhere near it. Where is it? Where is it? Is it in New Mexico or someplace?
It sounds like it should be.
It's in a different country for sure.
Ayahuasca.
New Mexico. No, I know. Yeah, I know for sure in Peru.
I think it's in a different country. Like that's the center. Isn't
is that true?
I don't know. I have no clue.
Let's Google that.
Yeah.
Hey Google. Who am I talking to? Alexa, Siri, Google? Which one?
No, please don't say her name. Please don't say her name.
I heard this.
So no ayahuasca, no mushrooms, just the weed.
Yeah.
And you don't drink very often, you said?
Not really. I don't like it anymore that much. I mean, this is really nice today.
He's
just having a zip. Like I'm dying to pour more for myself.
Me too.
I'm like, no, I'm gonna have some water.
I know. I was like, I'm gonna have a couple pepperonis.
Yeah. I like to get up and do 50 push-ups right out the bed.
Really?
And you can't do that.
Why do you do that?
It just makes me feel good. Starts the day right. You know, I'm good. You know, I'm healthy.
I can't do 10. So 50?
At least.
All right. I'm going to do it for a week.
Yeah.
50.
Yeah.
You're going to do the girl push-ups or you're going to do the real ones?
I'm going to do the real ones. Fool.
Send me video. I don't believe you. And I need like full body. I don't need just like the front part of you. And you're like fucking like bullshitting me.
I'm on the wall.
I mean, you know, I don't like weights and stuff, so I just like stuff you can do at home, like body weight stuff. You know?
Okay.
I don't like gyms. I don't like being around people. And
I should do more push-ups now that my body weight is heavier.
Oh, we were just talking about. He was just talking about that today.
Yeah.
I was a little self-conscious.
A little bit. When like my pants for like my suit, I put on a suit the other day. I was like, oh shit! If I fart, this button's gonna shoot out and kill somebody. Like it's
awesome.
like that's how it was.
You're not a gym person.
No.
And but where do you usually live? Where do you spend most of the majority of your time?
Well, since this whole pandemic nonsense, definitely been out here on the West Coast.
Okay, because I always make fun of people at gyms in California. I'm like, you can go outside. Like in Colorado, I have to go to a gym because it's negative 17 degrees half the year. you know, but
I don't
here
really need a gym to do what I do. Like a lot of what I do is, you know, there's meditation I think involved in it. Like I like to cycle. I'm not a runner, so I have I go out and fixie ride. You know, no speeds and just go. No music, no phone. And just,
really?
Oh yeah, I'll go ride like 35 miles. You know, a couple times a week, and just go on the bike path all the way down to Malibu and back. It's like 13 miles in each direction.
That's great. Yeah.
And so I'll ride that, no cars around.
But
just
you being
zone
a
out.
music person,
It clears my head. It's good.
oh my gosh, that's so interesting.
It's a good thing. I need to do that. Like I just came back from Joshua Tree. I was there for a couple of. My dad lives in Palm Desert, and Joshua Tree has always been a place that I go. I went to see the sunrise the other day, and it's just me out there and nobody else, and it just it gives me clarity. I don't know. It's it's just been a great place for me. Spiritual. That's kind of how I ride.
You seem like you really have your shit together for someone that's involved in an industry where a lot of people don't.
Yeah,
so, congrats.
Well, thanks. I mean, it's weird that and there's some good people that are still around. You know what I mean? Doing really great things. Like I'm going to say that. So.
It seems like they emphasize the worst of some of them, so it's nice to hear that there is sanity in this world.
There are a lot of people that are in it, I think, for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And so I know I'm in it because of my love of music.
Yeah.
And I hope that doesn't ever stop. I mean, I love I listen to about 100 albums a week.
Wow.
Now on Apple Music.
Not when you're riding your bike down to Malibu, though.
No.
Are you listening to mostly new music? Are you going back and revisiting things?
It could be both.
Yeah.
Like I'll definitely listen to new releases that come out on Apple Music. Or at least I'll check out the ones that I'm interested in. And then a lot of times I'm going backwards, or it could be something I see on TV and I'll Shazam it, or could be like I'm always like picking up tracks in the car. I'll be driving around listening to Diplo's station on Sirius FM, Sirius XM, and just get tracks from that. Just pull them from, upload them into my software and play them that night. Like stuff I've never even. Most of the time, the tracks I play now on my sets I've never played before and I've never mixed before.
So you constantly have to just be digesting, fresh music, so to speak.
Yeah, but then there's also like a lot of stuff that people never heard that they don't know about. Like, I found this track the other night. I was playing in Jamaica, and the day we were driving around, I found this track by Groove Armada, who's a group that I really like, a British electronic
name,
dance
Groove
group.
Armada.
Yeah, great group. They have many, many albums. You should check them out. A lot of dance stuff, super cool. And they had this girl, Stush, from like East London or something, and she was just ripping on the track, man. Like, and I just pulled the track and played it that night, and played it in the club, and it was bomb. And then I had my people go try to find her, see if I can get her on one of my tracks. We haven't been able to connect. No response yet. Yeah.
This is your opportunity.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you never know. She might be a listener that we don't know about.
What else, Stush?
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Now, if you could pick one person to have on a track now, no holds barred. Who they have to be alive. That's the only thing I'll give you. They got to be alive. Who would it be? No, I'm just kidding.
Man, I always go for different stuff.
Yeah.
I try to mix it up, but. That's an interesting question because it would have to be somebody that's kind of versatile because I go in a lot of different genres. I don't really have one particular, lane in terms of, it can be a lot of things mixed together. So it has to be an artist that can, cross-pollinate that. But probably Mary J.
She's a beast.
Yeah, Mary J. Blige. That'd be the best because I know, she did a really super dope dance track with Disclosure. Have you ever heard it? It's really super dope. And I love it. I play it in my sets at times too. So yeah,
when she came out in the Super Bowl, I was like, oh my god, thank God. Like when she performed in the Super Bowl, I was like,
well, there it is.
I just love
there it is. Who brought her up? Dre.
Yeah, of course.
There it is. So and big up to Dre. He's the best. No question. I mean, and he and I definitely have. I've talked to him before. Definitely have a similar path of. I was that dude at the beginning. Of that movie, sitting with all those vinyl records and the headphones on, just absorbing. Herbie Hancock, Grover Washington Jr., the Crusaders, Brecker Brothers. Where do you want to go?
It's a lot like food. It's a lot like food. The more culture you dive into, the more versatile you are. The more you learn about people. Music is that. And I didn't really get that until I traveled overseas. And I'm like, man, these people don't even speak English, and they know every lyric to this album. Or it's the same thing. Like people be like, I don't know how to pronounce this dish of food, but something connects me with it. It makes me think of this culture. There's so many similarities between music and food. Are you a food person?
I love food. I mean, whenever I'm in the studio, I always make it a point to have some great cuisine in there, you know, where we always have it delivered in. And so when I'm away, I always like to go eat good food. And I think I've been blessed to, you know, to experience some really incredible cuisine over the years.
Well, especially traveling to Japan.
Japan, Europe for sure too.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's some incredible restaurants in London. As you probably know, like, you know, Italy, I would say Italian is my favorite. You know,
Yeah.
So everyone says.
yeah.
I still haven't been. Really, London? Are there good ones in London?
I mean, the
that's
best
great.
Indian food
Am I
you'll ever
ragging?
have is in
Am I
London.
ragging on London when I shouldn't be?
Yeah, I've only been to London when I've been really poor, so I've only had shit food in London, but I couldn't afford anything.
And then everyone says
broke.
Portugal is like the best.
Oh
I've
yeah,
heard
yeah,
that.
yeah.
You know? So I don't know.
Quite
you
a few
know?
folks that have been on the Portugal. On the Portugal, I don't want to say it's not a bandwagon, but the Portugal ride recently, and they're like, "Fuck."
The Portugal bandwagon.
They're on the Portugal
That's my new
bandwagon.
band name.
I haven't been there myself, but I hear it's really nice. But yes, I do. I have my stepmom is a chef. Like she was I think I mentioned she was the food editor of the Philadelphia Inquirer. That's why we were in Philly, and then she was also the food editor of the Chicago Sun-Times newspaper.
Wow.
So and then she also was the executive editor of Traditional Homes magazine for Meredith publication. So she's like had a real, you know, around chefs and cooking herself. And then my sister Eve is a chef.
Shit.
Really good chef.
Well,
too.
Next time.
I'm still waiting for Megan to cook something for me.
She's
She's been here bitches about my food.
Bullshit. I have
But-
brought food to you. Shut up.
You brought like a salad once.
I know, and I brought a casserole.
I get homemade carbonara when I go to
Oh, that sounds
get out
so
of here.
good.
Now you're killing me.
I'm hungry.
Yeah,
All right.
exactly. So what is next for Freddy Browne? First of all, where can people find you? Not in a creepy way.
Don't tell me on this.
Yeah, please, no addresses. We'll have to bleep that out.
We know Marina Del Rey.
Yeah.
There is a Instagram. That's a good place to start.
Yeah, what's your Instagram?
That's the Freddy Browne, TheFreddyBrowne.
That's right.
And that's the same for my SoundCloud profile. And then there's a YouTube channel, which is Freddy Browne. Same, obviously, same stuff.
And project-wise, what is next? I know you scratched the surface a little bit on it, but you know what's happening now? End of 2022, and then moving into 2023.
January 7th. Was that what?
She's jumping the gun already.
Sorry,
She is. I know.
excited.
Like,
I
she
just
got excited. She pulled the trigger.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I just.
So that's okay.
A little surprised.
It's very nice. I like it. It's really
At least we
cool.
knew she was listening. That's good.
That's true.
Yeah, see?
So my next single is dropping December 2nd. It's called Fry Eye, which is a Jamaican term having to do with smoking. What happens to your eye when you smoke too much cannabis?
You look like Ren and Stimpy, basically.
So yes, kind of on acid.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. So it will come out again on my label Soon Recordings, and Sony Music is the distribution, and the video is crazy. I'm working with the same illustrator I worked with on All Falls Down, my man Bardia Sharastrani's this 24-year-old illustrator that I found on Instagram, who lives in Montreal, and he takes footage that I give him and he animates it, and then he runs it through stable diffusion and AI-based models of, with sound optimization, and he does all kinds of crazy stuff, and then it's just incredible. So yeah, so we'll have that video by the end of the week shortly, and then the album will come out, as you said so eloquently earlier. But it was all good.
Sorry.
It is no. Please let the people know when will the album come.
January 7th.
Yeah.
And that would be 17?
1-7. 17.
17.
Got it?
There it is.
7.
Bam.
One.
Bang 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 bang. 8 wasn't your number 8? Your number
Yeah, it's
8.
my number
right?
8.
So that 1 plus
I need
7.
a number I need a number now.
No, you don't.
I do. I
Yeah,
need
you
to
do.
figure out a number that's like.
Don't take my
And
number.
don't use like that number from that movie Focus.
No,
Use
no,
55. Remember that part? Where
Like my number,
Use that.
like all I can think of number is like I used to like Ken Griffey Jr. as a kid,
You
so
can't
number
force
24 was like it's always been
No,
my,
let it come to
Willie
you.
my
Mays.
baseball
Willie
jersey.
Mays, too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep. That was always my
Let
baseball
it come to
jersey.
you. Give it a
Is that
second.
what
Give
I'm
it a
gonna do?
week.
Yeah, don't
Don't rush it.
Yeah, let it
Yeah.
come.
Give
I
it a
just
week.
give it a week.
It's only
Right.
taken you this many years.
Um,
I'm seeing 11.
In your future.
yeah, 11.
11. I don't
bit.
know why.
So, growing up, do you miss New York?
Well, I don't miss it as I live there, but I mean, it's always part of everything I do, for sure. No matter where you go, everybody wants to know about New York, like for real. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's the greatest city ever. I do.
Well, so one thing we've started doing on the show is we like to ask our guests to kind of describe their perfect day in where you grew up in New York. So what is your perfect day? You can throw some food in there where you're gonna go eat, but what is that if you're gonna have that perfect day back home? What is it for you?
The whole day? Well, it, would
Yeah,
def-
fuck
it,
it.
definitely would start
You 50 push-ups.
having breakfast with my mom.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool because she'll make me some French toast.
Oh, it's a
Stuff
homemade meal he went with.
Yeah, he went homemade.
So
I
start
fuck
like
with
that,
Uh-huh.
and then usually sneaker stores. Like I like going to all the sneaker stores, like
Yeah.
all my spots.
But where in the city?
Yeah,
Okay.
go to Flight Club, which is also there was one on Fairfax, but the one in New York City's on Broadway and 11th, and a bunch of other sneaker stores. So I'll go by, make some rounds and see what's out there and pick up some pieces. And then definitely food, man. Like, there's a bunch of restaurants in New York City that I've been going to. There are some restaurants that I've been going to for like 30 years.
Wow.
Raoul's being one. You ever been to Raoul's? It's on Prince Street in Soho. It's French. Probably has it has the best steak au poivre in the world by far. And I've had steak au poivre in Paris and all that stuff. But yeah, man, this place is bomb.
I'm hungry.
So I go
I'm
there.
so hungry.
There's always good spots in New York. Some, like I just have little spots that I like for the Saigon Grill up on Amsterdam and like 101st Street. Like that shit is. Woo.
So your perfect day ends with like Pepto-Bismol with all the fucking
No,
places you're gonna go
what,
to.
man? You know what? I've been. New York is so cool because you really can. You can keep going for 24 hours.
Oh,
in
yeah.
New York, man. Like, and I've done it. Like,
And it goes by, and you're just like, wow, I've been doing shit for
By the way,
24 hours.
and by the way, go out in New York like on that kind of a run, also with all kinds of other things going on in your system, and now you're going for like 3 days like
Right.
that. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And you could end up anywhere.
Yes.
Like, that's what. But New York, like. There are other places that are crazy like that I've had a taste of. Like Berlin is crazy like that. Tokyo is definitely out of its mind. Like it's like New York, like to the 10th power for sure.
Well, because people are so under the construct of the weekly work week that the minute they can party, it is like they just go fucking ballistic.
There's like
just,
men in like suits like passed out on the street all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Just drunk, passed out.
Yeah. Well,
On the street in the middle of the day.
Sounds like a normal day for me. I
Yeah.
don't know what you're talking
are they
about.
single, Megan?
Yeah. You sound like my couple guys. I'm going to New York. See you later.
Freddie, you are a gem. It's just crazy the way life is that get on an airplane, not looking forward to a flight, and have an amazing conversation and new friends. So cheers to that. Guys, please check him out, the Freddy Browne. Go on SoundCloud. Get on, go and digest music the way Freddy does. Just do me a favor. Digest his first. January 7th, that new record's coming out. And then December 2nd, we still don't know when this episode is going to come out, but I could just throw dates out there. December 2nd, there will be a track that you guys can check out that's new. And please.
And video for the track.
And video for the track.
Very
Thank you.
much looking forward
And
to
video for the track. As always, guys, we so much appreciate your support. So please like, subscribe,
Rate us.
rate us
With a T.
with a T. Thank you. I was going to clarify that. Rate us with a T. Rate.
Rate us with
Yes.
a T.
And
Yep.
I just want to say thank you, Eddie. Thank you, Megan, both for having me.
Please. This has been so much fun. It's funny because we could like go for fucking ever, and I have to be like, no, I'm keeping
You guys
it.
have to go.
I'm keeping
You
it
gotta go.
honest.
Okay.
You are a friend of the show. We will always have you back
Thanks,
any point in time. And guys, thank you so much. See you next week.
Bye.